Recently, I've been playing a lot of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Sonic is no stranger to racing games. I mean, there's like almost 20 of them. That's pretty wild. But in everyone's minds, there is one Sonic racing series that sticks out and is iconic for the character. Sonic Riders. Sonic Riders dropped in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. And that was the only Sonic game that came out that year. And we don't have to talk about anything else. I remember back, even when this game came out all those years ago, it was already decisive against the fan base. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I personally really liked it. It has its problems, don't get me wrong, and my biggest issue I probably had with the game back then was they didn't really teach you how to play the game. You had to go to the game's manual and basically read how to play the game, which, don't get me wrong, I definitely took that for granted because nowadays I miss the manuals that came with games. But back then, I wasn't trying to read. Are you kidding me? But after I learned how to play, I remember having a blast with Sonic Riders. Then, in 2008, Sonic Riders got its sequel with Zero Gravity. Sonic Unleashed also came out in 2008. And, yeah, let's forget this game ever happened. Please? I definitely didn't play Zero Gravity as much as I did the original Riders, but I still remember walking out of Zero Gravity having a good time. Then, in 2010, Sonic Free Riders came out, and it killed the series so quick. It's a bad game, but it had so much promise. But you want to know why it turned out terrible? Because half the time, it was unplayable. Say hello to the Xbox Kinect, everybody. Now let's take it out back and murder it. If you don't know what the Kinect was, it was basically Microsoft's counter to the Nintendo Wii. You would set yourself up in front of the camera would analyze your body, and then you could play the game with your body movements. And on paper, that sounds really cool, but half the time, it never fucking worked. So yeah, that was the biggest issue with Sonic Free Riders. You couldn't play with a controller, you had to play with the Kinect. What a stupid decision on Sega and Microsoft's part. Stupid. Sonic Free Riders, but you're not free to play with the controller. Now, I know recently someone did mod Sonic Free Riders, so now you could play with a controller. I haven't tried it out yet, and honestly, I don't really want to, so I can't comment on how much the game changes when you play with a controller. But whoever did create that mod, good for you. I hope you're doing well. But after Free Riders, the Sonic Riders series was basically dead in the water. But recently, Sonic Riders has had a little bit of a resurgence with racing Crossworlds, because in that game, you can race on Extreme Gear, which was the main vehicles you used in Sonic Riders. Now, it plays very differently than it did, but I still think it was very cool that Sega was like, hey, we know you miss Sonic Riders, so we'll give you something. It's very little, but I appreciate it. And hey, Crossworlds is doing really good. In some instances, it's being reviewed better than Mario Kart World. But now, Sega, I think now that you just made an amazing racing game with some elements of Sonic Riders, I think it's time you bring our baby home to us. Yeah, I said it. I think the world and Sega, most importantly, are ready for Sonic Riders 4. I just think it's the perfect time. You just made a near perfect racing game. So how do you keep this hype going? You start by working on a racing game fans have been waiting for 4 years. It hasn't been 4, it's been 10 years. Shut up. Can you imagine at the Game Awards in 2 years, Jeff, whatever his last name is, gets on stage and is like, now, here's a trailer for a racing game fans have been waiting for. The trailer starts up and we get some beautiful shots of a huge open world. We're not quite sure what this is, but then the camera can pan to Green Hill Zone or some shit. Then we see Sonic and Jet racing on their Extreme Gear, and as they launch into the camera, it explodes and the title reads Sonic Riders 4, whatever we would call this one. Maybe Sonic Riders Forever? Kind of cooking with that. And Sega, if you're watching this video, you're probably like, well, Jerry, dude, this is a very good idea, and you're very handsome, by the way, But we can't just make a game based off a title. Like, what will we even do with this game? And I would say, you're in luck, buddy. I got some ideas for you. Now first, it's very simple. We take elements from the original games, the levels, the vehicles, the gameplay. You can even bring back the gimmicks like the zero gravity boost. And Sega, I noticed something during the press run of this game. You were taking a lot of shots at Nintendo and Mario Kart World. And well, I got an idea on how to be even more petty. You make Sonic Riders 4 an open world racing game, but you make a story mode that revolves around the open world. Now don't get me wrong, I liked Mario Kart's open world. I talked all about it in my Mario Kart World video. But once you do everything in the open world, like collect all the medallions, do the challenges, there's really no point to it, so you might as well just hop in like a normal racing mode. My voice just cracked. So Sega, it's pretty easy. If you make an open world that revolves around the story mode, you have already done it better than Nintendo. Sega does what Nintendo don't. Remember that slogan you started in the 90s, I think, or 80s? Now, unfortunately, I don't have time to pitch you a full story, but I'll give you some plot points. Let's just say a big threat emerges, and instead of Sonic and Jet racing against each other, they have to work together. Maybe it could be like an alien invasion, and the plot can be so cheesy and simple to the point where the big bad's like, hey, win this racing tournament, and I won't take over your planet. We don't need The Last of Us writing in this, okay? Now, Sonic and Jet have to explore the open world and take on Grand Prix. And you can play as Sonic or Jet, it doesn't matter. You can swap between them like you could in GTA 5 or some shit. And while you're exploring the open world, you can recruit more racers. Like, for example, Sonic can recruit Tails, Knuckles, or Amy. And Jet can recruit, of course, Wave, Storm, maybe like Eggman or Metal Sonic. Something that I thought was a little underbaked in Racing Cross Worlds was the rival mechanic. I think you could have done so much more with that. So what about in this game, as you explore the open world, you can encounter rivals. Like, for example, Shadow will be a rival to Sonic, and you can race against them and complete challenges. And the more you take them on, the more their respect goes up for you, and that can be like its own little meter. And finally, once you fill up that meter all the way, you have one more big race with your rival, and then you can recruit them or play as them in the open world. Now, I know this seems like a big task, Sega, but let's not forget that you already kind of made an open world game with Sonic Frontiers, and I'm sure you're working hard on Sonic Frontiers too, and I won't be surprised if that's announced at the Game Awards in a couple months. Please. But you can take elements from Sonic Frontiers, like exploring the open world, completing tasks, and doing little side missions. Some of these building blocks are already in your hands. Build, motherfucker, like your name was Bob. Now, of course, there are a lot of people that are not interested in an open world racing game. They just want to race. They don't care about the open world. That's fine. You could just make a simple Grand Prix mode where anybody can hop in anytime and just play quick, simple races. It's alright. And with the open worlds, you could do what Mario Kart World did with you can invite your friends and you can explore the open world together. How many times did I just say the word world? Now, what would be really cool, like the cherry on top, I don't see you doing this, but it would be really cool. Maybe you can also play the story mode with friends, like either couch co-op or online multiplayer, where you can invite another friend and one of you can play as Jet, another one of you can play as Sonic, and you can explore the open world and complete story mode missions together. I think that would be pretty cool. Sega, I feel like I gave you enough of the building blocks to make a pretty good Sonic Riders. Stick to what made the series so good in the first place, expand on the gameplay, give an open world that actually has a meaning, emphasize racing with friends, and there you go. One last thing I'll comment on is this game's roster. I think the roster we got in Racing Cross Worlds is pretty good. I mean, we got SpongeBob on this shit. And they literally, like 5 minutes before I sat down to record this video, they just announced Mega Man and Proto Man were coming to the game. So that's pretty cool. So I think you just take that roster, add new characters like... I know fans have been waiting for this for years. Start adding some of the IDW comics characters like Surge, and the other ones. And then you can start adding like old villains like Chaos, Memphilis, Infinite. You added Zavok and Racing Cross Worlds, but my boy Chaos doesn't get a character slot. All right, okay, little hurt. I'm gonna cry a little bit. It would also be really cool if the story mode ended with Sonic and Jet taking on the big bad, and they used the Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic would go Supersonic, of course, but Jet would use the Chaos Emeralds, and we finally get a cool looking super form for Jet. I don't know if fans have been asking for that, but I think it would be pretty cool. Turn them purple or some shit. But yeah, Sega, there you go. There's my pitch for Sonic Riders Forever. And I guess the only thing I could say is, Sega, you made a pretty good intro with Racing Cross Worlds. The music's pretty good. Sonic Racing. It's a little corny, but I like it. If you are gonna make Sonic Riders 4, I need the intro to have this energy, and I'm about to play it in its entirety, so get ready for peak, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time.